gotta go. I'll get my car. What mine? Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bat Dan's Discussions. Oh boy, we have a lot to talk about right now. I say this a lot, but as the Paramount Warner Brothers merger happens, it seems like at this point we're going to get big news every week now. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the big elephant in the room that I feel like is pretty good news for some people, but I feel like for the majority of my viewers on this channel, not so great news. And please welcome as I bring on TheCurlyRay. How are you, man?
Doing good. How about you, man?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing pretty well, but, not excited to talk about the news we're going to talk about tonight. But on this channel, we have to cover all news, the good and the bad.
Yep, indeed.
But there's some good news on this channel or on this stream to talk about tonight, too. So, in fact, let's start with Zack Snyder's Instagram post, because Zack Snyder, he keeps posting. He's still posting. So, starting here, hanging out with my buddies at A24, and then a certain Rebel Moon theory. This is awesome, Zack Snyder, and the Rebels are getting ready to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of RebelMoonBloodline on 7/15/26. Hashtag Rebel Moon, hashtag RebelMoonBloodline, and then Princess Issa commenting. But A24, I wonder, could this be the distributor for the last photograph?
It may be. I think it could be.
I would think that'd be really cool. I like seeing some of these smaller studios get wins like this. Because what I really respect A24, because what a lot of people don't know is that they were one of the few studios that writers and actors could still work with during the strike, because they gave in to what those unions were asking for. So the unions told all the writers and actors they could work with A24.
Yep.
So,
and we did recently, get some news that the last photograph does have a distributor, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we may be getting a trailer soon.
oh yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. I really need that trailer. I really, really need that trailer.
Oh yeah, man. That movie looks like it's going to be really fire, and I can't wait for it.
And also, since we're talking A24, check out my review of Backrooms with Cozy from last week. There's some spoiler sections and some non-spoiler sections, so check that out. Oh yeah, A24 did the Backrooms, so that Rebel Moon article. Oh,
Oh yeah.
well, we'll talk a little bit about that. Not too much, because this is Bat Dan's discussion. Space-tastic Discussions covers Rebel Moon in more detail, but still. Yeah, you got to take the internet with a grain of salt. That's all we got to say with that. But now, the League United. You got Superman, Batman, Cyborg, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Zack Snyder's Justice League, and got Rebel Moon Theory again. Wow, this poster is amazing. I love this as much as I love the Rebel Moon posters. Hashtag Rebel Moon.
Oh yeah, man. I love this poster, bro. And if I were to print this whole poster out, I definitely would, because that's a really dope poster. And I would it would really dope if we got some like Rebel Moon posters like that too, man. I really love the details on this Justice League poster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love some more. Blah, my God, I can't talk. I would love some Rebel Moon posters like this too. I mean, I'd love this level of detail. But also, just want to point out, though, people say Zack Snyder's done with DC, but he posts a lot of DC for a guy who's done with DC. So I know I say that a lot, but I feel like it's worth repeating. And then, in time, they will join you in the sun. Man of Steel. In times, you will help them. Okay, in time, you will help them accomplish wonders. So, yes, we got to bring Cavill back. Absolutely. And then 13. Man of Steel 13. And then here's the Curly Ray. Sells the issue to Netflix, sells Snyderverse to Netflix, and 13 years ago today, the world was introduced to Superman. And let me just stop that post because that's a video. And then here's the Curly Ray again. We need Henry Cavill to return as Superman in Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. Hashtag sells the issue to Netflix. Hashtag sells Snyderverse to Netflix. Just what do you think about those last three posts, though? All those Superman posts.
Zach's definitely still rocking out with DC, man, and shout out to Zach too, because like he's been continuing to keep the gas going, keep giving us hope, and pretty much just giving us a sign that hey, just keep moving forward. And those have been really some dope posts lately too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially those last three, getting ready for the anniversary of Man of Steel. And I did not realize it was on Amazon Prime, because I did watch Man of Steel today, but if I was on Prime, I would have watched it on Prime. Ugh. Anyway, though, I'm just going to re-show these posts again for this topic too.
13
So
years since this movie came out, man. I feel old.
Yeah. 13 years since this movie came out, and yet people still talk about it. They still talk about this wonderful movie. And I was watching this.
Oh, what's up?
I was just gonna say I was watching this movie again today, but go on.
Oh yeah, I saw this was actually the first movie I saw when I was going back to the movies when I was younger, there was a point where I didn't go to the movies for like 3 years straight. But then
Oh wow.
I went back to it, and then um I went and saw this movie in theaters, and man, I think this still might be my favorite theatrical experience ever. Like possibly one of them.
Oh, hold up, DC Talk. Hold up. You're getting ahead. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but don't worry, that is coming up. That's really cool, man. That's a really nice story. That this was your first time back in theaters for 3 years. Man of Steel. Wow. What up, Sin Havoc? It's a great movie. I mean, 13 years later, and people still want this guy back as Superman. People still want that solo Superman sequel to Man of Steel. Because, we had a sequel, Batman v Superman, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, but not a solo Superman movie. And I'm really Like, it's really amazing that after all this time, people still talk about Henry Cavill's Superman. People still love Henry Cavill. I mean, this was the movie that, to me, that made Superman not overrated. Because before Man of Steel came out, I thought Superman was a bit overrated at times. But Zack Snyder did such a great job of humanizing Superman. And I really love this movie. I love seeing Superman go through these struggles. I love seeing him essentially act like a human, because mentally he's human. He grew up and was raised by humans, and just seeing little reactions, like when he flies for the first time, that look on his face of kind of like excitement, like, holy shit, I'm actually doing this. I'm actually flying. I mean, that was such great acting by Henry Cavill. And oh, cool. And one thing I like about this movie, because you've seen Superman 2, right? The one with the Christopher Reeve Superman 2.
Yes, I've seen that one.
And it was a good movie, but one criticism I did have with it was, why aren't they using kryptonite? I mean, they know about kryptonite now. Lex Luthor had kryptonite, so why don't they use kryptonite to defeat Zod? And I like in Man of Steel, I love that they introduced Zod before kryptonite was introduced, because then you don't have that plot hole. It's little things like that. It's little small things like that that I love. And just so many great acting. Michael Shannon, great as Zod. Amy Adams as Lois Lane. Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. I love Clark's parents, both his adopted and his biological. Just all great actors.
Yeah, man, like, just to be for real, man, like, before Man of Steel, like, I wasn't really into Superman like that, to be very honest with you, because the first Superman movie I did see was Superman Returns, and I did like the plane scene where he saved all those people from that plane crash, but I feel like I did watch the others. I did like watch kind of the rest of it. I thought it was kind of meh. And Superman 1 and 2, kind of like what you said, I did kind of like them, but I didn't really like them as much as, you know, some other people do. But Man of Steel, just something about that movie is like, if to me, it felt like a Superman movie that should have been made like way back then. And I feel like this is what a Superman movie should be approached as, because the thing about with like the reason I wasn't able to tap in with Superman like I would with Spider-Man or Batman is the fact that, like, they went through so much struggles, but I wasn't able to really tap in with Superman like I was with Batman or Superman. But with Man of Steel, the way that Zack approached that character, and it wasn't even just Zack, even Nolan and they were at School because they were involved with it.
Well, they wrote
And
the movie.
yeah, and it's just the way that they approach these characters, like Superman, like having to go through that struggle where Zod, Superman didn't want to kill Zod, but he had to in order to save the family. And just some like choices like that make you think and to really put Superman in the real world was something that I really looked at and I was like, man, like I really like this approach to Superman. Like, and it made me care about Superman a whole lot more than I did before.
Absolutely. And yeah, you can always keep the old movies in your heart. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. And yeah, see, exactly. I agree with you, Frank. See, I completely agree. And I like how we talk about like difficult choices, because yeah, obviously Superman had to kill Zod, guys. I mean, what were you expecting him to do? I mean, if someone can actually give me an answer to what Superman was supposed to do instead, then sure, then we can talk about that Superman shouldn't have killed Zod. But if you don't have an actual alternative, then I don't want to hear any complaining about that. But that's what I love. You talk about the real world. What I like about that is people don't always have all the answers. Like the scene where Jonathan tells Clark, when young Clark asks Jonathan about all those people on the bus, all those kids on the bus, what was I supposed to do, Dad? Let them die? And he replies, maybe. Is that really right? No, but he's a parent. He's a parent of a child with powers that you don't want the world to know about. There's no handbook on this. There's no what should you do on this. No parenting classes can prepare you for this. The reality is, parents like that are not going to have all the right answers. They're not going to have the answers instantly. Like, he's not saying, oh, yeah, you absolutely should have let them die. He's like, I don't know. And I love struggles like that. I love seeing the struggles like that. That Kevin Costner did such a phenomenal job as Jonathan Kent. And it just, think about this, 13 years ago, the Snyderverse started. 13 years ago, the DCEU started. And yes, this is the only movie where this version in full is part of both the Snyderverse and the DCEU. Because DCEU has Batman v Superman theatrical, Snyderverse has the Ultimate Edition, and we both know Justice League. But anyways, 13 years ago, and we're still campaigning for the proper conclusion of this story right here with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Edition, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. This all started right here with Man of Steel, and we're still fighting for this conclusion to be finished. Despite the fact that there's another Superman movie out there right now, there's another franchise that's getting started, a lot of us are still talking about this one right here. And it really shows the impact. And, thanks for pointing out that he does kill Superman in the 70s, a depowered Zod, mind you, but it's like, whatever. In fact, I have a story about that. In Chicago, I was in line for a traveling South Park exhibit, and I was talking with someone, and we were talking, and he's like, oh, I don't like Man of Steel because Superman had to kill Zod. And I'm like, what was he supposed to do? Save that family? He didn't really have a good actual counter argument. And I'm like, well, he does the same in Superman 2. He's like, oh, fine, then I hate Superman 2. And it was so obvious that he just didn't really know what he was talking about. He didn't really have a real argument. He just was like, Superman just was supposed to pull some solution out of his ass and save the day or let the family die. I don't know. And then it was funny, and I turned around, and then I wouldn't talk to him for like the second half of it because I just didn't want to talk to him anymore. But yeah, but that's exactly it. People are reacting to how people would react to Superman because people criticize that tornado scene. That whole tornado scene where Jonathan told Clark to let him die. First of all, why are we talking about letting the dog die? Okay, I lost my dog that same year Man of Steel came out, and it was after Man of Steel came out, but still, I can tell you, do not just abandon your dog. But second of all, what I love is that Batman v Superman proves Jonathan Kent's point, because look at how the whole world hates Superman. Okay, had Clark saved Jonathan right then and there, one, everyone would have known who Clark Kent was, first of all, and second of all, Jonathan likely would have died anyways. I'm assuming a little bit, sure, but with the whole government after then, Clark's adopted parents likely would have died or at least been captured helping Superman. So, this was the right choice to do, unfortunately, as hard as it was. Because as Jonathan makes the point, there's more at stake here than just our lives. It's the lives of those around us. It was just the greater good of everything. And again, it's the whole point. It's making difficult choices. It's such a great movie. And yeah, but DC all the way. They only care if Snyder does it. Look at Batfleck. Batman kills in Tim Burton's Batman, and they're all like, yet when Batfleck kills, it's like, oh my God, does Snyder not know anything about Batman? So, yeah. But it's just such a great movie. I guess, CurlyRay, is there anything else you want to say about Man of Steel, about just this time?
Man, I'm just going to say this, man. I'm confident that there probably won't be another Superman movie outside of like Henry Cavill's Superman and the Man of Steel movies. there will probably be no other Superman movie that will top Man of Steel, man. Like, I think it is definitely continued to age like wine. And Henry Cavill's Superman is just, people to this day are still praising his Superman. People are still really wanting to see a conclusion to this Superman. And he's still Superman. Henry Cavill is still Superman. And we need him back, man.
Yes, we need him back. Not just ZSJL 2 and 3, but we need that solo Superman movie, okay? I want to see Christopher McQuarrie's solo Superman movie. And yes, I'm saying it. Christopher McQuarrie. I am fine with Zack Snyder not directing the second solo Superman movie as long as he's involved and directs ZSJL 2 and 3. Christopher McQuarrie had a great idea for a solo Superman movie, and I want to, starring Henry Cavill, and I want to see it. We still need to see it. So, and the fact that Zack Snyder's been posting a lot of Superman in particular, 4 to 5 years for the solo Superman movie. Okay, guys, I'm not patient. I'm not patient. Hashtag bat dancing patient. But we'll talk about some of the stuff that is going to be an effect of this, because some of what's gone on has unfortunately affected this stuff. So I want to bring up another victory, which again, this kind of kills me with this whole Paramount thing, but yeah, we actually had a great victory right now. So hold on, I pulled up the wrong article. Sorry. Here we are. So this is an article from Screen Rant, which I normally don't use Screen Rants, but I do like this article that they had. So Zack Snyder's Justice League is a global phenomenon, and it's a global phenomenon on Netflix. So Zack Snyder's Justice League becomes a Netflix global streaming sensation. So Zack Snyder's Justice League fights its way to streaming success years later. Okay? Years later. Just like how Man of Steel is 13 years old, this movie is 5 years old. Snyder's DC movies have become a divisive part of DC's history, with the director's unique vision helping steer the old movies of the DCU franchise for many years. After the multi-million-year run in the franchise, 2017's Justice League was reshot by the Avengers' Joss Whedon, yada, 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 we know this, was finally released on HBO Max, and it became, Zack Snyder's Justice League was finally released on HBO Max, showcasing what the director had in mind, and it became a streaming hit. Don't tell some people this. Now, 5 years later, the DC movie repeats that success elsewhere. According to Flix Patrol, Zack Snyder's Justice League is currently the 8th most watched movie on Netflix worldwide. The DC film stands higher than the new Netflix original movie, Ladies First, a genre-twisting comedy with Sacha Baron Cohen and Rosamund Pike, and the Chinese animated movie, Bonnie Bears, The Big Shrink. Zack Snyder's Justice League finds itself in the company of major hits like Netflix original movies, Office Romance, with Brett Goldstein and Jennifer Lopez, and Swapped, starring the last Best Oscar winner, Michael B. Jordan. Other Netflix movies, global top 10 includes Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Monster-in-Law, and more. Zack Snyder's Justice League was originally released on HBO Max on March 18th, 2021. 5 years later, Snyder's last movie in the DCEU is trending in 21 countries on Netflix. The film manages to rank as high as the most watched movie on Netflix, New Caledonia. Caledonia. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. Other countries where Zack Snyder's Justice League has become a Netflix streaming sensation include France, Greece, Norway, Nigeria, South Africa, Sweden, and more. At the time of this writing, Zack Snyder's Justice League is trending in European and African countries. The film is nowhere to be seen on Netflix's streaming charts in the United States for good reason. So, obviously, yeah, HBO Max, but just TheCurlyRay, what are your thoughts on this?
Man, it just shows you how big ZSGL really is, man. And even how bigger ZSGL would be too if it was on the Netflix platform, because Netflix is a global platform. And to see how big it did on Netflix, man, that's big, man. That's really big, and they can continue trying to hide it, but man, when it hits Netflix here, it's going to be number one in the US for weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it would have hit the US if Paramount didn't interfere with Netflix's acquisition of Warner Brothers. But that's the thing. Netflix has their own numbers on Zack Snyder's Justice League because they have the Snyderverse on their platform in other countries. Because, again, it's easy for us to forget in our little American bubble, but the world is bigger than just the United States. And Zack Snyder's Justice League is really big internationally on Netflix because HBO Max is not worldwide, unlike Netflix. So Netflix has their own streaming data for Zack Snyder's Justice League. They know how popular it is. That's why they were promoting the Snyderverse so much when they got Warner Brothers, when they were on track to buy Warner Brothers. Oh, yeah. Not surprised, Sin Havoc. Not surprised. And that's why we fight for Netflix, guys. I mean, this is a big reason right here. People question, well, will Netflix do it? I mean, they saw the success on their platform. They promoted Zack Snyder's Justice League. And 5 years later, it's still becoming a big success. It is still becoming this huge, monumental success. Even 5 years later. That is huge. That is absolutely huge. Yeah, I agree with you, Jamar. I agree with you. As people know, if you saw my birthday stream, that's what he's talking about, option 2. And that's what I think is going to happen if Paramount gets Warner Brothers. I think our best bet is licensing through Netflix, but yeah, and let's see. Yeah, I know. But on this channel, honest thoughts are the only thing that's allowed on here. Even if it gets people to hate you, because I don't go with what the trend is, I go with what my actual opinion is. That's why I've defended Ezra Miller for the past 4 years. Because I don't go with what's trendy, I go with what's right. But anything else you want to say about this, TheCurlyRay?
Zack Snyder's Justice League is a global phenomenon.
And I'm not going to say anything else because there's not going to be a better ending, a better final phrase than that. So I want to get to a little PSA right here real quick. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the Paramount merger with Warner Brothers and the track with that. I'm going to be reading quotes from certain senators who are part of a political party, who are part of a certain political party. I'm going to be reading their quotes in full. If I read that quote, that does not mean I agree with what they're saying about certain things. That does not mean I disagree with what they're saying about certain things. Okay? I'm trying to keep this as apolitical as possible. Obviously, I know there's politics involved in this merger and stuff, but I don't want. But other than me reading quotes from these senators, and I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to pin this in the chat. I don't want any political discussion beyond how it affects the merger, okay? I don't want to hear whether you like or hate the president. That's not what this stream is. And this PSA will make sense as we get down there. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to type this in real quick. So despite what I read in the quotes in articles, this channel does not gear towards a particular political party. And I ask you, do not talk politics despite quotes that I read. So I want to make sure that this is understood. because, again, this is kind of where politics and movie talk kind of overlap. So I just want to make sure people understand how I'm going to handle this. So, yeah, I know, Jamar, I know. So let's get started. So I want to kind of go over this article that CurlyRay and I went over a little bit last week, because I think it's important to kind of recap the news. So let me share my screen real quick. U.S. states preparing lawsuits to block Paramount's acquisition of Warner Brothers. Okay, U.S. states. Let's keep this in mind, because this is going to come into play later on. So, California, New York, and other U.S. states are preparing a lawsuit to block Paramount Skydance's $110 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers. Sources familiar with the matters told Reuters on Friday. This lawsuit is expected to be filed in the coming weeks, the sources said. It was not immediately clear which states would join in the lawsuit, which would mark the boldest move yet by the states in their effort to be at the forefront of the U.S. antitrust enforcement. California General Rob Bonta on Thursday criticized what he called Donald Trump's abdication of federal antitrust agencies with more resources than state governments. Bonta, and again, guys, I apologize if I pronounce people's names wrong. A Democrat has led the charge among the states concerned about the deal, promising a probe soon after Paramount announced it would acquire Warner Brothers after beating a bid by streaming giant Netflix. On Friday, and this is Friday prior to June 5th, Bonta's office said California's investigation remains active, but declined to comment further. So, I guess, CurlyRay, when you first heard this news, what was your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's kind of interesting because, like, with everything that's going on with Paramount, all I could say is in response to this, man, is like, I feel like I just don't think this deal's gonna go through, personally. But we're just gonna wait and see what happens.
Exactly. We're going to wait and see. There's a lot that's happened. And as for me, yes, I think the big thing that's going to really hurt this merger more than anything are honestly the lawsuits themselves, not necessarily the lawsuits blocking the merger, but the fact that Paramount is going to have to keep paying to fight these lawsuits. Again, it's like the whole analogy of Justice for Fives before I get into this. But it's like, again, Star Wars Rebels. When Grand Admiral Thrawn lost his fuel supply, his TIE Defender project went bye-bye. A logistic that no one was really thinking about. People were just thinking about, stopping the TIE Defenders. But people didn't even think about the logistics of the fuel. So that's what I think it is. People are just so focused on it being blocked, on this being blocked. But if these lawsuits make them have to spend more money, that itself could stop the merger, because you have to fight the lawsuits, you can't afford it, and if you have to give more control to the Middle East to afford it, that's a whole new review of the FCC or the FTC. I think it's FTC. I'm gonna be honest, guys. There's so many abbreviations, so many branches of government. I don't know, but yeah. So I think that's what's really interesting about it, because I think it's going to be really important, because unfortunately there were some people who approved, like Australia and New Zealand. Unfortunately, they have approved of this. So let me pull up this article real quick. So, and let's see what. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you, Jamar. So, Paramount Warner Brothers deal cleared in Australia. The mega merger is unlikely to have the effect of a substantially lessening competition in relation to the wholesale supply of film for theatrical releases in Australia. Britain's Competition and Market Authority has formally opened a probe into David Ellison's led Paramount Skydance's proposed $111 billion takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery, but the company has been cleared to close the acquisition by regulators in Australia and New Zealand. In connection with the merger on June 9, 2026, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, published its decision that the merger may be consummated subject to the expiration of a 14 calendar day waiting period. Paramount disclosed in a regulatory filing on Wednesday. The waiting period is scheduled to expire at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on June 23, 2026. In its decision, ACC concluded that the mega deal was unlikely to have the effect of substantially lessening competition in relation to the wholesale supply of films for theatrical release in Australia. Paramount said in its filing, while it would remove competition between Paramount and Warner Brothers, the merger entity would continue to be constrained by other film studios post-acquisition. So, I guess, Curly Ray, what's your thoughts on this?
I pretty much just kind of like what I said the last one. This is more like, I just don't know if this is going to go through situation.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But I mean, I was a little disappointed about this one because I was hoping that some of these other countries would take this seriously because you got the five biggest theatrical studios out there in the world. Two of them are merging. This should be enough for some of these countries to fight back a little bit. And I was a little disappointed that Australia and New Zealand approved of this. There's other battles to be fought still. There's other battles to win here. So this is definitely a loss, but I was hoping that they would approve it, but I'm an American. Okay. I don't know Australia and New Zealand's politics exactly. I know that each country also has their own film studios too, so I mean, I can't say for sure that, this competition would affect Australia and New Zealand because keep in mind, these countries, they can only approve it as it affects the operations in their countries. They don't, like Australia can't deny something based on how it would affect US competition. They can only approve it based on how it would affect Australian competition. So, yeah, I guess that's interesting. Unfortunately, it did. Unfortunately, I think it did. But yeah, so I did want to just cover this one real quick. Hopefully we get some other countries that push back more, like the European Union market, where they said, okay, you have to sell some stuff, even if it's just children's television cable networks. But anything else you want to say about this one, Curly Ray?
Yeah, I'm kind of like what you were saying, man. Like, it is kind of interesting how some of these countries, I wasn't expecting them to maybe approve some of these, but that's just what I think.
Exactly. I mean, I totally agree. I wasn't expecting them to approve it either, but there's still other countries in the world who have to approve of this. So let's see what happens going forward. Because now the DOJ also approves WarnerMount, and I'm not going to lie, this one kind of disappointed me a lot more. Because look, when the shareholders were voting on the Warner Brothers shareholders were voting on whether or not to approve Paramount, I was hoping they would say no, but I didn't expect them to say no. But the DOJ, I was kind of hoping would be one of the blocking points, but it unfortunately was not. So let's pull this article out real quick. So let's share screen. DOJ gives thumbs up to Paramount's $111 billion Warner Brother D acquisition. Part out, pro-competitive, merger as states ponder next move. So, okay, this says 111 billion, this says 110 billion. I'm just reading what these articles are saying, people. I'm sure it's just a rounding thing. But updated with Paramount and California AG statements. The Department of Justice has approved Paramount's pending $110 billion purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery. The sign-off on Friday by Paramount-friendly Trump administration was confirmed to Deadline by multiple sources. No significant concessions by Paramount to the DOJ appear to have been made in order to gain the regulatory sign-off, the sources have indicated. We are grateful for the Department of Justice thorough review of this transaction, as well as the work of the other agencies that have completed their review and provided the clearance to date, a Paramount spokesperson in a statement provided to Deadline. This deal is pro-competitive, yeah, sure, resulting in a stronger company, better position to compete against dominant technology platforms, in an industry increasingly defined by intense competition for audiences, talent, technology, and its investment. We remain focused on completing the transaction as soon as possible and delivering its benefits to consumers, creators, and the entertainment industry as a whole. The antitrust hurdle cleared by Paramount comes as state attorneys generals in California, New York, and almost a dozen other states are contemplating an antitrust suit to put the brakes on what would become a mega studio. Today, California Attorney General Ron Bonta reiterated his party line that the merger is not a done deal. The merger of Warner Brothers and Paramount is not a done deal and remains under investigation in my office. But yeah, the UK still has to approve it. In recent days, regulators in UK and Europe have signaled their plans to take a closer look at the transaction. And then also, Senator Elizabeth Warren, we'll see what she says. This is terrible news for every American who doesn't want Trump-aligned billionaires to control what they watch and how much they pay. The New England senator said, the Paramount Warner Brothers deal has reeked of corruption and influence peddling. The fight isn't over. State attorney generals must block the merger. So, CurlyRay, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just really weird because, it definitely feels like there is this push to try to make people think this deal is done when it's really not. And, because when you were reading through it, he did tweet out and said, hey, this is not a done deal. And I feel like there's definitely a push to try to get this deal to go through. But yeah, man, and what were you saying about, how kind of even what Jay Marr was talking about, how they would have to sell Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon in order to get this merger. And it's just like, depending on whoever buys it, I just don't know how I feel about this, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was hoping, and TJ, I'm gonna get to that part in a second because I know you wanted me to go back to that part. But as for me, yeah, I was hoping that the DOJ would stop this. I was hoping that because I didn't expect the shareholders to really be the thing that stopped the merger, but I was kind of hoping the DOJ would, and it definitely does not feel. How am I going to say this? This definitely does not feel like a deal that should go through. This definitely does not feel like a deal that's anti-competition or that's pro-competition. Not at all. But I want to just read what TJ wanted me to reread real quick. Okay, so TJ, we are grateful for the Department of Justice's thorough review, sure, of this transaction, as well as the work of other agencies that have completed their reviews and provided clearance to date. A Paramount spokesperson in a statement provided to Deadline. The deal is pro-competitive, resulting in a stronger company, better position to compete against dominant technology platforms, Okay, better to compete against dominant in technology platforms in an industry increasingly defined by intense competition for audiences, talent, technology, and investment. We remain focused on completing the transaction as soon as possible and delivering its benefits to consumers, creators, and the entertainment industry as a whole. Yeah, but the problem is, yeah, I know. But the problem for me is, again, it's the theatrical studios. That's the big thing. That's the big competition. That's a problem because you're going to take that down from 5 to 4. And in hindsight, maybe Disney and Fox should not have been improved, or I guess it's renamed 20th Century now, but maybe that shouldn't have been improved. But we should learn our lesson from that stuff, not repeat the same mistakes. Because after that, what happens if, let's say, Universal wants to merge with, let's see, there would be 4, it'd be Paramount, Disney, Universal, and Sony. Okay, yeah. What would happen if Sony wanted to merge with Universal? What happens then? I mean, do we really want that to happen? I mean, exactly. Netflix is a tech company. They don't have a major theatrical studio. This just was not like, I'm going to say I don't think this review was done honestly. I really don't think this review was done honestly because this is competition. This is absolutely competition. I was hoping that this was going to stop the deal. I'm not going to lie. This does make me a little more nervous because I don't want this deal to go through. This is bad for competition. And I trust Netflix to bring back the Snyderverse a lot more than I trust Paramount based on their actions. Again, if Paramount does bring back the Snyderverse, great. I'll be happy to be wrong. But there's a lot of other concerns here besides just the Snyderverse. So, yeah, this is not great news. This is not great. And I was hoping that the DOJ would stop this, but is there anything else you want to add to this, TheCurlyRay?
Well, there's one thing for sure. Netflix is a tech company, and if they would have bought Warner Bros., it would have been just like the Amazon and when they bought MGM, pretty much.
Exactly. That's exactly what it would have been. Because Amazon was not a major theatrical studio. Netflix is not a major theatrical studio. So again, it wouldn't have reduced competition there. It wouldn't like Warner Brothers would exist as a company still. Because under Paramount, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's just going to be Paramount's just going to have all the IP like Looney Tunes and DC Comics. They're not going to like Warner Brothers won't exist. No, this wasn't done honestly. I feel like this deal and is going to be fair, and Paramount is going to be allowed to slide, unlike Netflix. Yeah, but it's funny we're talking Netflix because Paramount accuses Netflix of Scorched Earth campaign. So, I find it funny though. People will say, Netflix, why can't you accept you lost? You lost. Deal with it, Netflix. You lost. But yet when Paramount interferes with Netflix, it's like, go Paramount, come on Paramount, hypocrisy at its finest. But let's see, Paramount has accused Netflix of Scorched Earth campaign to position regulars against Warner Brothers Discovery deal. One of the biggest talking points of the year has been Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery's multi-billion-dollar mega merger, which was made official back in February. The announcement followed the bombshell of news that Netflix has decided to pull out of the battle for Warner Brothers Discovery just a couple hours after the David Zaslav-led media company's board decision declared Paramount's new bid a superior proposal. Netflix has been largely silent on the matter, publicly at least, since the deal went through. But Paramount Skydance's top lawyer is now claiming, oh my God, these stupid ads, hold on, that the streaming giant is worried about the prospect of going head-to-head with a merged Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery, that they are going all out to try to position regulators and other stakeholders. So McCann Delaraham, Paramount's chief legal officer, has alleged that Netflix is lobbying hard against the deal while using scorched earth tactics. We understand that as part of its broader proxy war against the transaction, Netflix has tried to persuade the Teamsters and other stakeholders that Disney's acquisition of Fox had a negative impact on content production and labor opportunities. Frankly, Netflix sky is falling narrative departs significantly from the ground truth reality of what actually happened. A Netflix spokesperson told Variety the following when asked for a response. These claims from Paramount Skydance are absurd. We walked away from this deal months ago, and we remain focused on our own business, not theirs. Ultimately, it's up to the regulators to approve this deal and determine if it's in the best interest of the industry and all concerned. As part of the deal, Paramount and Warner Brothers will operate as independent studios. Yeah, sure. With a commitment of 15 films from each every year, with full 45-day windows going before going to premium video on demand, with longer windows for hit films. And there are concerns about the industry, worry that Ellison's close ties to the Trump administration could still rifle free expression. So, okay, we'll go over this part a little bit because I don't want to. So Paramount disclosed in an April FCC filing that the merged Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery would be 49.5% owned by foreign investors, with 38.5% of the equity in the new company owned by the sovereign wealth funds of Saudi Arabia. Interesting. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. So, yep, which is why people are thinking we're for sure going to get the Snyderverse. But yes, I guess, Curly Ray, what's your thoughts on this?
Man, Paramount sounds like gun fans who can't move on from Zack Snyder.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, what I think is happening is that Paramount, two possibilities. One, Paramount is getting all these lawsuits and they're mad, and because let's be honest, when David Ellison didn't get Warner Brothers at first, he did not handle it well. He kept going to Warner Brothers over and over again. Please, 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 please. I'm desperate. I'll give you more money. That I'd take out so many loans just to pay for this. Please, Zaslav, please. He didn't handle it well. And again, now that these lawsuits are happening, they want to blame Netflix. They just want to blame Netflix because they can't handle the fact that, no, your shit's a monopoly. But the other possibility is that Netflix is telling the truth. Paramount's telling the truth about Netflix. Because if you think about it, Netflix has always played this smart. They've always played this very delicately. When Warner Brothers was for sale, they didn't act interested at all. Now that Paramount is accusing Warner Brothers or Netflix of this Scorched Earth campaign, Netflix doesn't want to show their hand. They're going to be like, no, we do your thing. This is your business now. We're not interested in Warner Brothers anymore. Because again, they don't want to show their hand. Because honestly, if Netflix is doing this campaign, I don't blame them, because it is a monopoly, way more of a monopoly than what Paramount and Warner Brothers was. So, no, I agree, J-Mar. I totally agree with you, J-Mar. So, the reality is, in my honest opinion, I think Netflix is doing this. I'm not going to lie. I think Netflix is doing this, but I don't blame them for doing this either. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. This is a monopoly. And if they want Warner Brothers, because I still think they want Warner Brothers, guys. I still absolutely think they want Warner Brothers. They just have a price they're willing to pay for it. They're not like Ellison, okay? They're not willing to bankrupt their company. They have a price that they want to pay for it, and they want to get Warner Brothers to go down to that price. So, absolutely. I guess, what's your thoughts on that, Curly Ray?
Oh yeah, man. I definitely believe they've been scouting the place, and I believe, they've been on the lookout to seeing how this thing's playing out. And I think, if this deal doesn't go through, they're going to get Warner Brothers for a cheaper price.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they'll go back to their original price or their last price before it went out, before Paramount got it, I mean, or more likely, lower. because now Warner Brothers is more desperate for a sale. Because Warner Brothers is going to be sold, guys. Okay, I know people think that Warner Brothers is going to remain independent. It's not. Okay, it's going to be sold, and what I think is going to happen is that I think Netflix is going to get Warner Brothers. But personally, again, how I think it will happen, Paramount will have no choice but to have Warner Brothers sell assets to a third party such as Netflix so they can get at least Discovery, the Discovery Global Partners. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Netflix will get their streaming and studios business like they wanted for a lower price, and at the same time, Paramount's going to get Discovery Global Partners. Now, I don't think this is guaranteed. As I said, I am still nervous about it, but that's what I predict will happen. I think Warner Brothers will get streaming and studios, and I think Paramount will get Discovery Global Partners. That's what I think is going to happen. So, because again, Netflix is doing this smart. They're going behind the scenes. They're doing, I mean, again, if this is true, they're handling this behind the scenes. And yeah, exactly. Like Paramount, stop acting like you weren't doing shit behind the scenes. Seriously. I mean, you didn't do shit behind the scenes to get the DOJ to approve this monopoly. So, yeah. I mean, I know this is technically an accusation, and I don't like to necessarily just go with all of Paramount's accusations, but I think this is one accusation that I would say that I kind of agree with. I would say this is one accusation that I'm like, yeah, I think there's a point to this. I think there is a point to this accusation. So, yeah, I don't. What's your thoughts on this comment, TheCurlyRay?
Let's see. Man, here's the thing too, because I remember I was listening to Sky talk about this. It's just like they want to try to repackage, the idea that Sky came up with on the Restore side and have it sold off to the Saudis, and I think it's really stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I don't want to have to rely on another country for American IP. Okay, I don't have to rely on that. I mean, I don't think that should be controversial to say, but like, I just find it weird that the Saudis is such a big selling point. Like, oh my God, this could be filmed in Saudi Arabia. Like, oh my God, I just want to see the movie in Zack Snyder's vision, okay? And I want to see fair trade because competition is good for the consumers, okay? And this Paramount Warner Brothers is not that. So, but I mean, hey, we're not the only ones pushing back because there's a lot of pushback against this. So there's still pushback, guys. So I want to go back to the DOJ article. So I want to kind of go over some points that is being said right now. So as Rob Bonta says, the merger of Paramount and Warner Brothers is not a done deal and remains under investigation by my office. And also in recent days, regulators in the UK and Europe have signaled their plans to take a closer look at the transaction, particularly with the shape of summers on the continent. If clarity is not reached by the start of August, the process will likely drag into September. And there is one more quote. Okay, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who also says too, this is terrible news for every American who doesn't want Trump-aligned billionaires to control what they watch and how much they pay. The New England senator said, the Paramount Warner Brothers deal has reeked of corruption and influence peddling. The fight isn't over. State attorney generals must block the merger. So, let's see anything else here. And then, yeah, this week, UK's Competition and Markets Authority has declared that it has opened a merger inquiry into the deal with an August 7 deadline of sorts. The CMA intends to examine if the Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery meld could present a realistic prospect of substantial lessening competition If the Brits believe such a prospect is real, then a second phase in their probe will kick off, a phase 2 that could last up to 5 months and gummy up the works for the merger. So, anything else? We know Australia signed off. And so, yeah. So, the point is, guys, while the federal government, the DOJ, approved of this, there are still attorney generals, there are still states who have to approve of this. The UK has to approve of this. The European Union has to approve of this. There's still a lot of parties at play here who have to approve of this. I guess, CurlyRay, what's your thoughts?
It's like I said, man, like this isn't a done deal, and we got to wait on the UK to approve on this, and I just don't know if it's going to go through or not.
And let me just read this again. So the merger of Warner Brothers and Paramount is not a done deal, remains under investigation by my office. Exactly. And the thing is, again, I don't necessarily think it's the lawsuits alone. Again, it's the money. It's the money that they have to pay on these lawsuits, because isn't Ellison supposed to pay money if this isn't completed by September or something?
Yeah, I think what you just said, I think so.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to play a clip from Frank C, what Frank C shared to me. So thank you, Frank C. I will add this in post. I'll add this link after the live ended. So this is a post from Frank C, American Economic Liberties Project. The billionaire behind the Paramount Warner Brothers merger want you to think it's a done deal, but it's not. Like all good billionaires, they want what they do to seem inevitable. The reality is things will be challenged. So let's see.
Also think they're doing is like all good billionaires.
Hold on. Can you hear this, CurlyRay?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, just want to be sure. Okay, I'm going to restart this then.
Also think they're doing is like all good billionaires, they want what they do to seem inevitable. They want it to seem like there's no question this thing is going to go through and everyone just get on the train because we're leaving the station. The reality is...
I mean, as someone in conversation with them, that is 100% what they say.
This thing will be challenged, and there is not a low chance, but a high chance it's going to be blocked because of what it's going to do to the productivity of these studios. This idea... Also think...
Yeah, man.
So yeah, thank you for saying. Go on.
Yeah, man, it's just I think it's gonna get blocked, and the fact that there's gonna be so many job losses when this happens, it's just gonna be crazy.
Well, yeah, it's not just the fact of that, but you got people saying it's going to be challenged. It's going to be blocked because it's funny because of course Paramount's going to act like, oh, this deal's going to happen. This is going to go through. Absolutely. We're not worried at all. What were they going to say? They're not going to tell the public, yeah, this deal's going to flop, guys. We're all panicked. No, they're going to say that. They're going to act like it's a done deal. But as you can see, it's not a done deal. And you need reminders like what Frank C sent to show that. And and pointing out, Ellison has to pay the shareholders. So that's also really important too, because again, as you can see, hold on, I lost the article. I have to repost the article real quick, but let me just, because there is one thing here that they have to say. So so for the UK, phase 2 that could last up to 5 months. So it's June now. Okay, so this is supposed to be done by September. CurlyRay, what's 5 months after June?
Well, that is November.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but November becomes after September. Am I right?
October comes out after September.
but like, I mean, like, not right after September. I mean, but like, as opposed to before September.
Hold on. So you mean like what becomes before September?
Well, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, November comes after September, not right after September because that's October. But my point is, November's not before December. So my point is kind of like my point I was kind of asking sarcastically was basically November comes after September, right? With October between them. So that means that if this takes up to November, that means that Ellison's going to have to pay money. See, that's what I keep saying. It's not just necessarily the merger itself. It's not just the lawsuits themselves that are going to stop this deal. It's all the money Ellison's have to pay to get this deal to go through. It's all the lawsuits that they have to face because Ellison got out of a hearing once. You don't think any of these state attorney generals, the UK or Europe, if they really want to challenge this, you don't think Ellison's going to have to testify to them at some point?
Oh yeah, man. This going to cost a lot of money for them.
It's going to cost money. They're going to have to pay more money, and they're already $110 billion in debt. So what I think will happen is one of two things. They'll have to sell off assets, or because they can't afford everything anymore. They can't afford to pay for the full Warner Brothers Discovery anymore. Or if they somehow still manage to get Warner Brothers Discovery, they'll have to license off projects to third parties like Netflix to pay down their debt. But I'm still hoping for the first one because my issues with WarnerMount go beyond just Paramount. Or go beyond just the Snyderverse is what I meant to say. So yeah, I mean, I gotta hope for the best with this, but I mean, there's a lot of pushback, guys. There's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of pushback that is happening that, despite what Paramount says, this is not a done deal. I was hoping the DOJ was going to put a stop to this, but they're still state attorney generals. They're still the UK. They're still the European Union. Even if the DOJ, Australia, and New Zealand approved of this, there's still other parties at play here. And oh yeah, Frank C. Oh yeah. So this kind of leads us to our final question, though. Is this WarnerMount? Is this a done deal? Is WarnerMount a done deal? Is this for sure happening? Curly Ray, what do you say to that?
Man, so y'all know that movie. Y'all may have heard of the movie Us. Y'all may have heard the movie Get Out. But there is one movie that's also out called Nope.
That's right. Nope. And I think it's safe to say for me too. I mean, this is not a done deal. There's a lot of people, they got so mad with Netflix that we were celebrating too early, that we were acting like it was a done deal and want to play semantics that Netflix didn't buy Warner Brothers. They're trying to buy Warner Brothers. But with Paramount buying Warner Brothers, they want to act like it's a done deal, even though there's still battles they have left to fight. Okay? It wasn't a done deal with Netflix. It's not a done deal with Paramount. And we're both hoping that this deal does not go through because other than, yeah, I know, I agree, Sin Havoc. I agree. Because other than just the Snyderverse, I don't want to see competition hurt. I want to see competition. Because I want the Snyderverse. I want the Snyderverse completed. But I don't want it at the cost of movies as a whole, as the DC brand as a whole. That's not how I want the Snyderverse. The reason why I was so happy with Netflix is because I believe that after the Snyderverse ended, they were still going to treat DC right. I guess, what's your thoughts on that, Curly Ray?
Oh yeah, man. Like Netflix, the thing about Netflix is if they would have bought WB, then they would be able to do more with DC outside of, bringing back the Snyderverse. They could have given us the Batman Beyond movie, even the animated one. But with Paramount, people, the thing is, if they brought back the Snyderverse, it's just like, okay, yeah, cool, but what about outside of that? They probably wouldn't been able to bring back Mega Batman Beyond movie because they would be in so much debt.
Yeah. Yes. Like, I want to. There's other projects I want to see besides just the Snyderverse. Like, yes, I want to see Man of Steel 2. I want to see the Batfleck movie. I want to see Zia's Jail 2 and 3 and the Ayer cut. I would love to see all that stuff. But after that, what's next? I mean, I was a DC fan before I was a Snyderverse fan. So, and I really feel like Netflix was going to treat DC right. Because Netflix probably wanted their superhero franchise. They didn't get it with Umbrella Academy, so DC was their next bet. I mean, yeah, like Avatar lost their theatrical release and got leaked online. TMT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers. I mean, Paramount has not been good with their IP. And also, I'm going to say it again, their interface sucks. Their interface is garbage. So
their interface is probably worse than HBO Max's interface when it first launched, bro. It was so slow. And I know this because I had my PS4 at the time when it came out, and it was super slow. It was fast on my phone, but it was super slow on my PS4.
I remember that. I remember HBO Max was kind of slow. I mean, they got better. I mean, hey, right now I can watch HBO Max, no problem. But Paramount, it's a struggle. And Paramount Plus has been out for a while. So the fact that HBO Max on day one was better than Paramount Plus is now, they should keep the HBO Max interface. Heck, I've even said that what Netflix should have done if they got Warner Brothers was sell HBO Max's interface to Paramount so that Paramount can have a better interface. Like, Netflix would have kept the brand, the HBO brand name, and all the IP, all the movies and shows on HBO Max, but just sell off that interface to Paramount. Because Paramount needed a better interface. But exactly. See, that's what I think would happen. If, like, at best, and this is at best here, this is not guaranteed that we would even get this. But I think at best, what we would get would be Zia's Jail 2 and 3 with studio compromises. Yes, Zack Snyder might film stuff behind the scenes like he did with Justice League, but then we have to fight for another Snyder cut. And I've said, I don't want to keep fighting for the Snyderverse forever, guys, okay? I mean, just a reminder. Man of Steel, 13 years. 13 years ago. Zack Snyder Justice League came out 5 years ago. I don't want to keep fighting for this universe forever. So, at the end of the day, this is not a done deal. And people need to stop acting like it's a done deal. There's still hope, guys. There's still hope. There's still a chance that this deal gets blocked. And while I say I think it will get blocked, I'm still nervous about it too. Not going to lie. I'm always going to give my honest thoughts on here, guys. I'm not going to just say, oh, I'm not worried at all. No, of course I'm worried. But deep down in my heart of hearts, I do feel this deal will get blocked. I guess, CurlyRay, anything else you want to say to that?
Yeah, man, I just don't think this is going to go through.
And on that note, we do have something exciting coming up. RebelMoonBloodline trending event. So hashtag RebelMoon, hashtag RebelMoonBloodline by our own Rebel Moon Theory here. And I want to show a little something. So I want to show a little something here with that. So on Collider. I know Collider is not our favorite, but still. Netflix's 2-part sci-fi fantasy saga is officially taking over the world. And here's Rebel Moon Theory. I don't agree with everything that was written in this Collider article, but one thing I found interesting in this article was that Rebel Moon was back in the top 10 on Netflix recently in a handful of countries around the world. So let's look at these likes real quick. And okay, I forgot that I liked it. I liked it on my personal one, but I forgot to like it on this one. So let's look at some of the interesting people who like this account, who like this. And okay, let's try this again. Oh, no, not that channel specifically. So let's see. And CurlyRay, look at this. Look who liked this post on your platform.
Yep. Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. Yep. Zack Snyder liked it. So you're getting some recognition here, man. Rebel Moon Theory is getting a lot of recognition. So let me just show this again real quick. Zack Snyder, right here.
Oh, another
So-
person liked it too. It was Cam Corey, if I'm pronouncing your name right, because he was also involved with Rebel Moon, and he has involved me too in supporting the platform as well.
Where is this person? Kim whom?
Cam Corey, Corri.
This guy? Talking about this guy right here?
I think you gotta show the screen.
Oh, haven't I? Oh, right. I forgot to share the screen. You saw it the first time though, right? When I was sharing the screen with Zack Snyder liking the post.
Oh yeah, yeah, him.
Okay.
Yeah, Cam Corey. Yeah,
So,
shout out to him
yep.
too, man.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Shout out to him. So what does he do for Rebel Moon?
I think he was a part behind the scenes, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was because I think it was a part of the sets, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, cool. But I mean, everyone's work matters. Every contribution matters, and I think it's so cool that you're getting this acknowledgement. And what up, W Mir? And yeah, Netflix won't bring the Snyderverse back right after Rebel Moon is back on the top 10 charts. Yeah, sure. And Zack Snyder is supporting the Rebel Moon Theory platform, so guys, 7/15, hashtag Rebel Moon, hashtag RebelMoonBloodline, to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the mobile game. 1 month from tomorrow. So, shout out to you, Rebel Moon Theory.
Yeah, man, and thank you very much, bro. And shout out to Zach and his team, man. Shout out to you guys.
Shout out to Zack Snyder and his team. Shout out to all of you for giving us so many great universes to talk about with DC and Rebel Moon. And I'm not going to say Army of the Dead because you know what? No. I think that's part of Rebel Moon. So, shout out to you. So coming up, guys, I just want to prepare everyone for this since I have Rebel Moon Theory on the channel right now. So 7/15, hashtag Rebel Moon, hashtag RebelMoonBloodline. And is there anything else you want to talk about, TheCurlyRay?
Well, outside of the RebelMoonBloodline anniversary coming up, we do also have the 1-year anniversary of Rebel Moon Nemesis. It's going to be on July 16th. I'm gonna be celebrating that day as well, the anniversary of that comic
nice.
that came out. So I'm gonna be celebrating that too. Just rocking out, man. Like
Absolutely.
the conversations, man, just it's getting closer to Zack. Like the TheCurlyRay post soon. Water is wet.
It's becoming normal that Zack Snyder's liking your post.
Yeah, man. I think something big may happen leading to this, man. Like I'm just gonna be honest. That's just what I think, and I'm just continue doing what I'm doing, man, and continue to keep the fire going with Rebel Moon and make sure I'm keeping all focus on Rebel Moon Theory because I can just tell from Zack liking my posts. He knows what's up. He knows about my platform, and I believe he's really liking with what I've been posting, and I'm definitely going to be continue keeping these conversations going.
Absolutely, man. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see more on your channels. You've done so much great work, and I'm really proud of you, man.
Hey, much love to you, Batan.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. And as for me, coming up, I'm working on that Netflix clip still, that clip where TheCurlyRay and I debunked the whole allegation of Netflix not wanting to do theaters because of Dan Lin being misquoted. But, we'll get into the clip will explain why I'm saying that. But I'm still working on that. And I still have a theme park video coming out. Just have to go to Six Flags again. So there's a lot of great stuff coming on this channel. And guys, if you like this stream, please like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more unique takes, interesting thoughts, and great discussions such as these. And on that note, any final words, TheCurlyRay?
Have a bat-tastic day.
Have a bat-tastic day. 13 years, Man of Steel.